We are so glad to have you here today, especially because this first story that we're going to tackle, we need, I think, a male perspective on it.
Yeah.
So the Toronto Star is reporting that height surgery is on the rise in Canada. Particularly among men. Can we just show Derek? I mean, no idea why Derek is yelling about this. You yelled boo. We need to pull up another
Kwame
chair.
is losing it in the corner.
We need another chair up here, clearly. Okay, listen. So it's that kind of day. We just started. We're already off the rails. We're off to a great start, guys. So listen, this procedure actually became pretty popular during the pandemic. And what is it? It involves surgically implanting titanium rods into legs so you can get more length/height. We know what Derek thinks of this. Johnny, where do you stand?
Is that no pun intended? Wow. It's one of the things. I think a lot of this starts with how we look at it, how we look at ourselves in a mirror. I think if he stood on his wallet, he would be 7'2", you know. It'd be all right. But no, it's one of the things. I think you have to, everybody to their own. But where I grew up, there's not a lot of tall men where I grew up. I grew up in coal mines, so tall people never did well in coal mines. So no, I think you have to just be comfortable in your own skin at some level. And if somebody wants to go about that procedure, I guess that's their decision. But I think...
As a man, do you feel, is there a stigma out there either for or against tall/short men?
Well, here's what happens, right? So, I've got boys that play sports. Sports these days are all like, how tall are you? How high can you jump? How big is your hands? What's your reach? What's your vertical? What's your 40 time? Everything is measurable. We've come to this place where things are now measurable. But some of the things that we don't measure is character. We don't measure character. We don't measure, somebody's passion. You look at some of the just as a man, you're asking me as a man, some of the greatest athletes that we know, whether it be Wayne Gretzky, whether it be Tom Brady, whether it be, whoever these guys are, they never had the measurables, the measurables of height and speed, and they had something more than that, and I think it's we mishandle that. It's the falsehoods of manhood, and I believe that we need to kind of get back to being focused on character, manners. Being a gentleman. You shouldn't be. Your height. You're as tall as you feel. You know what I mean? And so that's my take on it. That's what makes. That's my take.
Go ahead. You guys go in. Go in.
Well, how tall is your husband?
6 feet.
Yeah. A husband 6'3". And I say that because I mean, listen, I love Derek, and he has all of those things that you're talking about, right? And and this is the thing. I've gotten to know Derek over the years, and Derek is an amazing person. I don't look at him, and I'm making assumptions here, but you yelled boo at the top over this surgery, so I assume you're against it. But is there heightism? I think this culture absolutely is based on heightism. You know that there was actually a study done that, because there's this perception that height equals power, height equals being authoritative and credible. People have actually studied this, and it turns out it's true when you actually examine salary. I know this sounds far-fetched. There was 3 economists who said, is this actually true in the workplace? They found for every inch that a man is taller, he makes on average $1,000 extra a year in income. So for example, a 5'7" man versus a 6'2" or 3" man, I'm not doing my math, that taller guy is making $5,000 on average more a year.
It's interesting, right? But you'd have to unpack, what are those industries and what does that say? I feel like I bet you if you unpack that study further, there would be that those industries prioritize a certain perception of men and a certain ideology of men. And I do think more and more we do need to question that as a society, because I think that doesn't translate for women, right? This is a gendered thing.
It's a gendered thing.
Right? So I don't know. I first heard this, I agree with everything you said, but then I thought if my son came to me and said, as there was in this article, it was a mom whose son felt devastated and so depressed as a result of feeling too short. If that was the case, if it's your own child who's coming to you, I mean, then you're sitting there going like, oh my God, like what do I do? I think what I would do though is the same thing I would do if my daughter came to me and said like, I hate this thing in my body and I need to fix it. I would put them into therapy first and get them to unpack, because ultimately what you don't know is if they get to the end of that road and they still are dissatisfied, and if this is a slippery slope down. It's also not cheap. So this is not something that's going to be coming along and people are going to be doing this. It's like something like 80 grand. And finally, can I just say one more thing? Can we talk about successful short men? I'm going to start with, okay, Jack Black. Jack Black, 5'6" Daniel Radcliffe, who's been on this show, 5'5". Martin Scorsese, incredible filmmaker, 5'4". And of course, my favorite and arguably one of the most famous people of all, Prince, 5'2".
That's it.
So take that.
Well, and then, you know, they guys, the taller men actually should be making just a wee bit more money because their pants are more expensive, their shoes are more expensive. They're using more material, you know what I mean? So you should be getting them a wee bit more money.
Okay.
Hey there, wasn't that great? Do you know where you can find some equally good content? Our YouTube page. It's filled with discussions, debates, and some laughs. Head there now, like and subscribe.